Welcome to the Economy Magazine. I'm Binyamin Tjong-Alvares with the top reports from the world economy. Coming up, Greece seeks war reparations that are higher than debt it owes. And in Hong Kong, cultural heritage makes way for progress. First, the headlines. Oil prices rose on Monday as fighting in Yemen continued and Islamic State militants took control of the Iraqi city of Ramadi. Brent futures were up 1.5% at $67.61 a barrel in morning trade, and U.S. crude rose 1.2% to $60.56. Despite ongoing conflict in the Middle East, oil markets remain oversupplied, and the global glut could worsen if U.S. production picks up. Goldman Sachs said that despite an expected dip in the second half of this year, U.S. output is forecast to increase by 205,000 barrels per day in 2016. And as OPEC keeps its output steady, global oil supply may rise further if oil starts flowing again from Iran, should sanctions be lifted. The greenback's recent rally weighed heavily on company dividends across the world this year, Henderson Global investors said on Monday. As the dollar peaked up 11% against a basket of currencies in March, dividends may decline by as much as 3%. The revision from a previous forecast of 0.8% growth would lower total dividend payments by $42 billion from an earlier forecast made by the firm in January. Volatility in the currency market has a very large effect on dividend payments, but over time they even out, Henderson said. China's new home prices fell for the 8th consecutive month in April from a year earlier at a moderated pace, suggesting the housing downturn may be leveling out. Home prices across 70 cities fell 6.1% in April from a year ago, but were flat on a month-on-month basis compared to a 0.1% drop in March. Some analysts see the slowing pace of decline as a sign the property downturn, which is weighing on the economy, is beginning to bottom out. And the flood of liquidity from China's aggressive monetary easing could provide the necessary cash to spur housing sales. Hearing, the owner of some of the world's best-known luxury brands, filed a lawsuit against Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba. The suit alleges that Alibaba and its partners knowingly encourage, assist, and profit from the sale of counterfeits on their online platforms. The Kering companies, which include Gucci, Balenciaga, and Yves Saint Laurent, last July filed a similar lawsuit against Alibaba, but withdrew it 2 weeks later. Alibaba says it spends more than $16 million yearly fighting counterfeit goods on e-commerce platforms such as Taobao and Alibaba.com. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, at the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II, stressed Germany's need to remain sensitive to the damage it caused. But as the debate over war reparations is reignited in Greece, it remains to be seen how sympathetic Merkel will be to this growing demand. I-24 News journalist Ioan Jameta examines the motives behind this debate.
A film is repeatedly being broadcast on the screens of the Athens metro. These images are made by the Greek government to illustrate the damage caused by Germany to Greece during the Second World War.
There are campaigns in the metro for all sorts of things. So why not a campaign that is an issue that is topical regardless of whatever is good or bad?
When I saw this video, I was glad because I think everyone needs to know what happened then. And it had to be broadcast somehow, and until now, it has never been.
For the past few months, the new left-led government has been pushing for 279 billion euros to be paid in reparations by Germany for damage they caused in the war. This amount would cover over 85% of Greek debt today. From 1941 to 1944, the Nazis occupied Greece, which became among the most damaged European states. The Germans plundered the country's gold reserves and devastated villages. 600,000 Greeks were killed. Since then, Germany has still not fulfilled all of its declared reparative duties. Only 115 million Deutschmarks, the equivalent of 58 million euro, were paid in 1960. It was a provisional amount for the Greek government, and for them, the full sum is still forthcoming.
Our generation should continue the battle. Our children should not let the red thread of history be cut. Because the people shed their blood for the country and our memory remains alive and active.
Meanwhile, Athens is reeling from the 7 billion euros in bailout loans it has to repay before the summer, with Greece's exit from the euro at stake. And, as of March, A survey showed that at least 52% of Germans are okay with the Greek exit.
And we're joined by Greek-Israeli businessman Sabby Mionis for a better understanding of the Greek demand for war reparations. Mr. Mionis, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So is this a last-minute ploy, so to speak, by a distressed government, or do the Greek people really actually still have grievances about the Second World War?
Well, it's a combination of the two. There is some truth to the Greek claims on compensation from Germany, but there are two parts of it. One is a loan that the Nazis got during the war from the Bank of Greece. That they obligated the Bank of Greece basically to give them a loan, and for which actually they even paid the first interest payment.
How much is the loan?
Nobody really knows how much is in today's money, but definitely not 279 billion euros. This is like an exorbitant amount. It's not anywhere close to that.
But that includes war reparations as well. I'm sorry, continue. In terms of the loan, how much are we thinking approximately?
Some people are saying it's probably 11 billion euros in today's money. Some people are saying it's more. Nobody really knows the exact amount. What has happened is that following the war, the Greek governments were not the people who actually fought the Nazis out of Greece, but the people who collaborated with them.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was that they came to an agreement with Germany at the time for what today is 58 million euros as war reparations. But that doesn't include actually the loan. So the loan is still outstanding. However, nobody was ever talking about it. It was something that was not, mentioned in the media or talked about at all by the public before this current crisis in Greece.
Of course.
Because of the current crisis in Greece, there is a lot of animosity toward Germany, which is a bit,
because Germany is the main sort of power behind the creditors, so to speak.
On the other hand, it's Greece's lifeline right now, but
yes.
Greece don't see it that way, and that's why these demands start coming up again, saying, no, we don't owe you anything, you owe us rather than us owing you, and look at the history and the devastation you caused in Greece and all that, which a lot of that is true. But I believe that only the part of the loan is something that could be fought in court.
Okay, but Greece does demand 279 billion euros right now, and which essentially is, they borrowed about 240 billion euros, which with interest obviously is a lot more. It's a relatively equal amount. What is Greece essentially? Is Syriza, is Tsipras looking for a way to just do away with the debt and start a new slate? What exactly is the thinking behind this?
No, I believe that they do know that all this is, a pipe dream, basically, and it's mostly for public consumption. How do people look at this in Germany? I think there are a few voices in Germany that recently have said, okay, maybe we should look at it, because maybe there is some truth to that. And there is. On the other hand, the Germans are, kind of sick and tired of subsidizing Greece. The German taxpayer has been subsidizing Greece for a long time now.
It's a slippery slope also. Once one person, one country, one nation steps up for repairments, where does it end, right?
True, but other countries have received reparations far higher than Greece percentage-wise to what they were owed. Greece probably got a very, very bad deal at the time, because of the government that they had at the time that was quite friendly to the Nazi regime.
I see. Well, not such a good thing for Greece in the end, I guess. Well, Mr. Sabby Mionis, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Hong Kong's street restaurants, or Dai Pai Dongs, have long decorated the streets of the island nation, but have all but disappeared. With less than 30 remaining, the following report looks at the reasons for their decline.
Cheap, fast and popular, Hong Kong's no-frills street restaurants are known as Dai Pai Dongs, a rare outdoor feature in the city of air-conditioned skyscrapers. They serve up well-loved favorites, from beef brisket to toast with condensed milk, drawing customers day and night. But they're disappearing. Fewer than 30 remain in the city.
Many people don't accept the Dai Pai Dongs, either because of the sanitary environment or because they're too loud and that bothers people living upstairs. But back in the day, Dai Pai Dongs were very popular.
The stalls thrived after World War II, but their heyday has long gone. The government stopped issuing new licenses decades ago, and transferring existing permits was heavily restricted. Some have been revamped in the city centre and license rules relaxed. But uncertainty remains elsewhere.
The future of Dai Pai Dongs is not looking good. In 2 or 3 years, once the old buildings have been bought by property developers, Dai Pai Dongs will obstruct new constructions and impact the landscape. So the government may ask us to move or get rid of the Dai Pai Dongs.
Hong Kong's home to more than 60 Michelin-starred restaurants and some of the world's best-known chefs. These are a world away from the street stalls and their roaring burners. But some argue that the Dai Pai Dongs are a unique part of the city's history and character and should be conserved.
I think we should cherish our local culture. Otherwise, we just like other cities. You know, the pace of globalization is quicker, and how to keep Hong Kong unique. I think Dai Pai Dong is one of the way.
And fans certainly aren't leaving anything to chance. It's time to eat their fill in case the colourful street stalls don't survive the red tape of modern Hong Kong.
And now for a look at what else is new in the economy in Media Watch with Daniel Roth. Daniel Roth.
Good day.
I understand you're taking it down a notch, right? A little more easy stuff here.
Well, you know, it depends on how you look at it. We're talking movies, first of all.
Movies, yes.
Movies. This was a big opening weekend for 2 big movies.
There's no business like show business.
There's no business like show business, and Pitch Perfect 2 in the United States took the cake over the weekend. They brought in around $70 million in the U.S. alone.
Wow.
And they beat out the movie everyone thought was going to be winning this game, which brought in about $45 million, and that's Mad Max, the remake of this Mad Max series, which is getting rave reviews. It brings into it feminism, climate change, all of these really...
Say Pitch Perfect Mad Max.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a match made in heaven there, you know, in terms of a couple going to see the movies, you know, it's...
And nearly,
that, right?
And they nearly doubled. Pitch Perfect nearly doubled Mad Max in intake in the U.S. Now, Mad Max in the world took in about $1 million more than Pitch Perfect did. So it's an interesting question. What is the U.S. paying attention to, the U.S. audiences versus world audiences?
Or rather, who makes the decision when you go see the movies?
Yes, this could be this could be one of the questions at hand.
Yeah, I was just at the movies with my wife, so I know all about that.
Yeah, so it's you know, as a big weekend now. At the base of this is, of course, how much people spend on these movies to make them. $150 million for Mad Max, $28 million for Pitch Perfect. So Pitch Perfect is bringing in big money. Now, what's not bringing in big money? Taxi medallions in the United States. In big cities, these are the licenses to legally have a taxi. In big cities like New York and Chicago, I had a friend who tried to buy a medallion about 10 years ago in New York. He was being asked for about $1 million.
What?
No joke. The height in Chicago is about $350,000. Now, though, what we're understanding is with the advent of Lyft and Uber and these side businesses, essentially, that we're seeing the price of medallions go down significantly. In Chicago, for example, again, it was around over $350,000 for a medallion. It's now about $270,000.
Are we to understand that taxi drivers make that much money? That it's
no,
really
of course
worth
not.
That much money?
It's one of the big things that people don't really know about taxis in big cities in the States is they're almost never owned by the taxi drivers. Taxi drivers are working single or double shifts. Paying out to someone else who owns that cab, similar to many other industries, but medallions used to be a really safe investment that people looking to invest in real estate or in a restaurant or something like this would say, you know what, I'm going to put it in a medallion. I think it can spin some money for me. Nowadays, it's not so true because Uber and Lyft and Get Taxi.
The economy.
It's changing the way it works.
Yeah,
and it's,
the last story is?
The last story, the J-Post, is looking at the new economy minister for Israel,
yes.
Aryeh Deri, who in many ways is actually very different from the past economy minister, Naftali Bennett.
Right.
Aryeh Deri is the leader of the Shas party, which really focuses on and focused in this campaign on working class people, and even at the expense of middle class people. They said everyone's focused on middle class people.
Right.
Who's going to look out for working class people? And that seems to be, as deregulation was the name of the game in the last government under Bennett's auspices, this seems to be maybe Deri's time is going to be focused on social services, on
Social
rebuilding
justice
some
and
of those services that have been taken apart.
Okay, Daniel Roth, thanks for joining us and giving us more information about the Israeli economy as well. And that concludes our Economy Magazine, your daily source for economic and financial reports at I-24 News. I'm Binyamin Tjong-Alvares. Thanks for watching.